Well, welcome back to the KCBD Sports Texas Tech preseason special, joined by Inside the Red Raiders publisher Jarret Johnson. We're going to look at the defense now. What are your overall thoughts about this Red Raider defense?
Yeah, well, first off, I'm a big fan of Tim DeRuyter, the defensive coordinator. He's a proven defensive coordinator. He was good at Oregon, Air Force, Texas A&M, and his scheme being multiple. He's going to play a lot of 3-3-5, 3-4, and then we'll see some four-man fronts, which I know a lot of the Tech fans have been clamoring for, after the last couple of years running three-man defensive fronts. They're experienced. I think there's some talent, and there's more depth than what we've seen out of a Texas Tech defense in quite some time.
What is your biggest surprise or concern with the defense?
Well, my biggest surprise of fall camp is the emergence of Kosai Eldridge, inside linebacker. He arrived on campus a couple years ago at just over 200 pounds. He told me before camp he's up to 235 pounds. He's actually moved inside, where he was a star in high school at Denton Ryan way back in the day. And I think he may end up starting and be one of your leading tacklers this season. Now, in terms of my biggest concerns, it's depth at cornerback. I like the returning veterans, but if they lose two guys, they might be down to some freshman guys, and that could spell trouble. Even though they're talented, the inexperience could spell trouble in the Big 12.
Well, let's look at the defensive line, and what do you see there?
Well, returning veterans and Jalen Hutchings, Tony Bradford, two very good players. I actually was just out at practice here recently and saw Hutchings just blowing up some offensive linemen. He looks really good. He looks ready to go right now. Philip Bleedy is someone I expect to emerge. I think he's going to start defensive end. He has been developing. I believe this is his junior year. He was a really good player coming out of New Mexico and took a couple years to get acclimated to the Power 5 level of football, but he's ready. He looks good, and if he could stay healthy, which is always my disclaimer, then I think he's going to have a really good year.
Well, I keep hearing the guys talk about the take three. What is that all about?
Yeah, it's all about just the philosophy of creating turnovers. You take three, that's part of the recipe, one of the ingredients to winning football games, and I think a big part of that is going to be getting more pressure on quarterbacks. I think that's where it's been lacking in several years, to be quite honest. And I think the first guy that comes to mind in that regard is Tyree Wilson, who's going to be playing some defensive end with his hand in the dirt, but also standing up as an outside linebacker and moved all around the defense. So that'll be interesting.
And then your thoughts on the safeties?
I think that's one of the strengths of the team. I know everybody wants to talk about quarterback and the running backs, and those are strengths. But I mean, look, you got Rabbit, Adrian Taylor-Demerson, who I think is one of the better safeties in the entire Big 12. Reggie Pearson also is going to be back there deep with him. He came over from Wisconsin prior to last year. He had actually started for a Wisconsin team that went to the Rose Bowl as a redshirt freshman. He's one of the more physical players on the team. And then you have Muddy Waters, Marquise Waters, who's playing that hybrid linebacker safety role. So you're going to have all three of those guys on the field at the same time, making plays and honestly cleaning up a lot of mistakes by the rest of the team.
And you talked about the cornerbacks, but your thoughts with those guys?
Yeah, Rashad Williams is a good player. He's long. He's acclimated to the Big 12 now, so I like him. Adrian Fry is one of my favorite stories of the team. In the last 5 or 6 years, he's had just a roller coaster career. Freshman, all Big 12, and then kind of disappeared and struggled when he was moved to safety. Now he's back at corner where he feels more comfortable. I think he could have a really good year. Malik Dunlap, 6'4" corner who could run. He's one of the fastest guys on the team. I like that. And then the young guy to watch out for who I think is going to make a lot of noise is Kobe Minor. He's been great all offseason. Coach Mcguire during camp was talking about how he's really coming up and he's going to be that fourth corner, so I expect a lot of him.
And then just overall, how do you see this season playing out? A very tough non-conference schedule. Yeah. Two ranked teams in there, Houston and NC State. What a tough first road game for this team. If you can start out good there, maybe you can create some energy.
Yeah, coaches always talk about finishing the season strong, and that's important, of course. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I really think the key to this season is going to be how they start off that first half of the schedule. They don't have a bye until after their first 6 games. You mentioned the non-conference. You got Murray State at home, which you should win. Houston at home, which I think you should win too. I mean, you beat them in Houston last year. Both teams bring back a lot of guys. NC State there, that's going to be a tough matchup. But then you have Texas at home to start Big 12 play. You go to Kansas State, let's be honest, you struggled against Kansas State recently, and then at Oklahoma State before your bye. If you could split those 6 games, I think it's going to set you up in terms of making another bowl game, building upon the foundation that was built last year by the players and the previous staff. And I think success will be on the horizon.
Well, you've been out to a lot of practices, and nothing against Cliff Kingsbury or Matt Wells. Can you put your finger on what you're seeing out there that's different from the years past?
Intensity, physicality, and accountability. Those are the three biggest things. Those have all been raised, and it's all by all the little things you add up, and it's all coming from the coaching staff. But then the players are buying into it, and they're doing it. They're actually doing the work. So those are the three things I would say, and when fans ask me, that's the biggest difference.
And then you have known Joey Mcguire before he came here from his high school ranks. Just what's your assessment of him? He's brought the brand, and he is really making a difference.
He is just legit, sincere. I think a lot of times we hear about coaches and they have these sayings and these monikers, if you will, but he really is all about relationships. Everybody, I think a lot of people even watching this has a Joey Mcguire story where he took time out of his day and made you feel like the most special person or helped you out with a problem. Back in the day when I worked at the 4-Star Telegram, he actually helped me out with some high school playoff scenarios, which I know Pete, could be very confusing nowadays. So he's helped me out with some other stuff and helped a lot of other reporters out. And probably everyone from the janitor to the principal to the superintendent of a school district, he's just that kind of person. And you stack all that up and you have people all over the state rooting for Joey Mcguire and the Red Raiders.
Well, what's your overall assessment and prediction for this year for the Red Raiders?
Yeah, for most of the offseason, I said 6-6. I think this team is improved over last year. I really do. I think the push they made last year gave them some confidence. They showed that they could get hit in the mouth, have some adversity, and bounce back from that. And that had been missing from previous years. So they have that to build upon. They have the confidence, swagger, whatever you want to call it, that Coach Mcguire's brought in as well. And you put that together, better team. I really believe that. But it's a tougher schedule. There's no doubt. This is one of the top 10, 15 toughest schedules, at least going into the season, in the entire country. So, again, I think if they can get, split those first 6 games before they go into the bye, I think they'll win 7 games this year. I know their expectations are much higher, but 7 wins in the regular season, going to another bowl game, would be a great foundation to build upon.
No doubt about it. A lot of excitement with Red Raider football. Jarret Johnson, appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
When we come back, we'll have more of the Texas Tech preseason special. Stay with us.